Part 2. My HOA president tried to fine me for my ugly dog, so I turned her $1.2 million mansion into a literal swamp. The revenge. I didn't waste my time with the HOA board. Susan had them all in her pocket anyway. Instead, I sent a detailed report with topographic maps to the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and the City Flood Commissioner. I waited for the perfect moment, Susan's presidential summer brunch. She had 40 of the neighborhood's most influential people standing on her illegal marble deck, sipping mimosas and listening to her lecture them about architectural purity. Right as she reached the climax of her speech, a fleet of city trucks, an EPA SUV, and a massive yellow backhoe pulled up to her curb. I walked over to the fence, holding Barnaby, who was wearing a tiny Hawaiian shirt for maximum visual nuisance. I handed Susan a copy of the 1922 map through the gate. I said, "Hey Susan, sorry to interrupt the brunch, but the feds are here to restore the natural flow. It turns out your pool is a federal obstruction. The city has a court order to breach the dam. You have 48 hours to drain it, or they're bringing in the jackhammers." The fallout. The scene was pure chaos. The city commissioner explained to the horrified guests that because Susan had bypassed federal environmental permits, her house was now a public safety hazard. They immediately pulled the certificate of occupancy for her entire mansion. It was now legally uninsurable, unsellable, and most importantly, worthless. The HOA board, realizing they could be held personally liable for allowing her to build on a flood bypass, turned on her instantly. They stripped her of her presidency that afternoon and sued her to recover the legal fees for the city's audit. Susan had to pay over $100,000 out of pocket to demolish her pool and fill the massive crater with dirt. But here's the best part. Because the land was reclassified as a protected wetland, the EPA forbade her from planting grass, using pesticides, or installing any drainage. Today, Susan's backyard is a literal stinking mud pit. It's overgrown with waist-high weeds, infested with thousands of croaking bullfrogs, and acts as the neighborhood's primary mosquito breeding ground. She legally isn't allowed to touch it or mow it without a federal permit she'll never get. Every morning, I walk Barnaby past her fence and let him take his sweet time. Whenever I see Susan staring out her window at her ruined, swampy kingdom, I just give her a little wave. She wanted to hide my dog from the world, but now she has to look at a swamp for the rest of her life.